today hold a rather comfortable and popular view of Jesus of Nazareth. They're quite happy to place him in the pantheon of great human teachers, alongside figures like Socrates, Buddha, or Confucius. Folks will readily admit that his teachings on loving your neighbor, caring for the poor and turning the other cheek are, well, profound and admirable. To them, Jesus represents a pinnacle of human wisdom, a moral compass whose guidance, if followed, would undoubtedly make the world a better place. This view is respectable, sensible, and honestly, it requires very little of the person who holds it, which is perhaps why it's so common. It allows one to appreciate the Sermon on the Mount without troubling oneself with the supernatural. However, a fundamental problem arises when we try to stop there. To accept Jesus simply as a great moral teacher, one must assume he was, above all, an honest man. Goodness and morality are inextricably linked to truthfulness. A person who tells lies, especially about the most important things, cannot be considered a reliable moral guide. Imagine a man who teaches you profound truths about ethics and charity, but then falsely claims to be the rightful king of your country. You might find his ethical teachings useful, but you would certainly not call him a great moral authority. His central deceptive claim would cast a dark shadow over everything else he said, forcing you to question his integrity and sanity. This is precisely the issue we face with Jesus. It's not intellectually honest to simply pick and choose the parts of his teachings that we find agreeable while discarding the rest. One cannot simply take the Beatitudes and leave behind his more startling and frankly uncomfortable claims about his own identity. It's a sort of cafeteria approach to his life where we take the palatable vegetables of his ethics but leave the tough, difficult-to-chew meat of his divinity on the serving line. To do this is to create a version of Jesus that is more a reflection of our own preferences than the man who actually walked the earth, as presented in the historical accounts we have. Therefore, to truly understand Jesus, we must be willing to look at the whole picture. We must examine not just the sayings that have become popular moral proverbs, but also the statements that baffled and even enraged the people of his own time. The most crucial evidence for who Jesus was does not come from what others said about him, but from what he repeatedly and clearly said about himself. These were not minor off-the-cuff remarks, they were central to his entire mission and message. To ignore them is to ignore the very heart of the man, and to build our understanding of him on an incomplete and therefore unstable foundation. We must have the courage to confront his claims directly. Let us consider a direct confrontation recorded in the Gospel of John. The religious leaders of his day grew frustrated with him, demanding a plain answer. They gathered around him and asked, "How long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly." They wanted a simple yes or no, a political title they could understand, but Jesus gives them an answer that is far more profound and to them far more shocking. He points to his works as evidence, and then he makes a statement that removes all ambiguity about his divine claims, a statement that cannot be mistaken for mere human wisdom or moral guidance. Jesus tells them, "I and the Father are one." Let us be perfectly clear about what this means. He is not saying he is in agreement with God, as a good student might be with his teacher. The original language and the reaction of his audience makes it plain that he is claiming a unity of nature and essence with God the Father. He is claiming to be divine. This is not the language of a prophet who speaks for God, it is the language of someone who claims to be God. This is the sort of claim that leaves no middle ground. It is either the most profound truth ever spoken, or the most blasphemous lie. The reaction of his audience shows us exactly how his words were understood. They did not pat him on the back for his inspiring metaphor. They did not ask him to clarify his philosophical position. The text tells us they picked up stones to stone him. When Jesus asked them why, they do not accuse him of breaking a law or teaching a false ethic. Their charge is very specific. "We are not stoning you for any good work," they replied, "but for blasphemy because you, a mere man, claim to be God." They understood him perfectly. There was no misunderstanding. He was claiming equality with God. So, the man whom many call a good moral teacher made a claim so outrageous that the religious experts of his day, who knew their law intimately, considered it a capital offense. A good man does not make such a claim if it is untrue. A wise man knows that such a claim, if false, is the height of foolishness and pride. We are therefore forced to move beyond the simple category of teacher. His own words, and the violent reaction they provoke, push us into a corner. We cannot comfortably praise his moral teachings while ignoring this staggering claim to divinity. In another encounter, also recorded by John, Jesus makes a similarly bold pronouncement about his own nature and purpose. He declares to a crowd, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Again, this is not the sort of thing a simple teacher says. A wise man might say, "I can show you a path to the light," or "Follow these principles, and you will find illumination." But Jesus claims to be the light itself. He presents himself not as a guide to the truth, but as the very source of truth and life, the only alternative to ultimate darkness. His opponents immediately challenge his testimony, arguing that his claim is invalid because he testifies about himself. But Jesus' response only deepens the mystery and elevates his claim. He insists that his testimony is valid because he knows where he came from and where he is going. He then makes a crucial distinction, stating, "You are from below, I am from above. You are of this world, I am not of this world." He is drawing a clear line between all of humanity and himself. He is not just a better man or a more enlightened man. He claims to be of a completely different origin and nature, hailing from outside the entire human system. As the argument continues, Jesus links belief in his unique identity directly to salvation. He tells them, "I told you that you would die in your sins. If you do not believe that I am he, you will indeed die in your sins." The phrase "I am" is deeply significant, echoing the name God uses for himself in the Old Testament. He is not merely suggesting a better way to live. He is claiming that belief in him, as the one who is from above and the great I am, is the sole determining factor for a person's eternal destiny. This is an exclusive and absolute claim that a mere moral teacher would never have the audacity to make. This incredible exchange culminates in one of the most direct claims to pre-existence found anywhere in the Gospels. The Jewish leaders, proud of their lineage, bring up their ancestor Abraham. Jesus' response is breathtaking. He says, "Very truly, I tell you, before Abraham was born, I am." Notice he does not say before Abraham was, I was. He uses the present tense, I am, again evoking the divine name and claiming an eternal, timeless existence. He is not just claiming to have lived before Abraham, he is claiming to exist outside of time itself, just as God does. Once again, his listeners understood perfectly, and they picked up stones to kill him for this perceived blasphemy. We are now faced with a stark and unavoidable dilemma. A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic, on the level with a man who says he is a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, you can spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us, he did not intend to. Think about the claims we have just examined. He claimed to be one with God the Father. He claimed to be from another world, the very light of existence itself. He claimed to have existed eternally before the time of Abraham. These are not the words of a humble sage offering helpful advice for daily living. These are the claims of someone who believed himself to be at the very center of reality, the pivot upon which all of human history and destiny turns. To dismiss these claims as poetic exaggeration or myth is to ignore the plain sense of the texts and the violent reactions of those who heard them firsthand. The man who said these things, if he was not what he claimed to be, was certainly not good or moral. An honest person does not make false claims about being God. A sane person does not believe such things about himself. If Jesus was not telling the truth, then he was a liar of cosmic proportions, deliberately misleading millions into a false hope. Or if he genuinely believed what he was saying and it was not true, then he was tragically deluded, a megalomaniac deserving of our pity, not our admiration. The good moral teacher option is the one that is simply not available. Therefore, the question of Jesus cannot be left in the comfortable middle ground. He forces a decision upon us. We have his words, preserved for us over centuries. We must look at them squarely and decide for ourselves. Are these the ramblings of a lunatic? Are they the calculated deceptions of a liar? Or are they the plain, staggering truth spoken by the Lord of the universe who stepped into his own creation? You must answer this question. To praise his ethics while ignoring his identity is a choice he himself, through his own words, has made impossible.